What's up, everybody? Lou from Hypocritic, back on the show floor at PAX West 2024. We are here with Aranza from Triband to talk about What the Car. We got a treat for you here. Thanks so much for taking some time this afternoon.
Oh, yes, I'm
So for those who don't know, tell us a little bit about What the Car.
Yeah, so What the Car is our third game in a line of physical, silly comedy games. This time around, we sat down the team, we looked each other in the eyes and thought, okay, what are we going to make a game about? We realized that none of us have driver's licenses, and we thought, there's something there. Maybe we should figure out how cars work. And, well, we tried to figure that out, and this game came out of that.
And it is, as with the others in the series, incredibly goofy, incredibly fun, very comedic, and I catch myself laughing out loud as I'm trying to talk to you about it and interrupting my own questions. The comedic approach, obviously familiar for the brand and for games in this series. What sort of unique value do you believe, because it is such a strong part of the game's appeal, what sort of a unique appeal do you find that the more comedic approach brings to these types of games, and why it's important for you as a company and as a brand to kind of continue that approach?
I mean, one of our core design pillars is that we talk about comedy for everyone. It's something we always keep repeating to ourselves when coming up with ideas or weeding out what we like and what we don't like of all our ideas, is that it needs to be something that everybody can laugh at. Which is why we often end up with this kind of slapstick humor and puns, because that really seems to be something that hits all ages, all like geographically also around the world. Slapstick, I mean, is of course wordless, so that has that, it transcends languages. And the puns also just seems to transcend all ages, right? So we try to keep that really broad approach, and coming out of that, it's actually not that hard coming up with all sorts of stuff. Yeah.
And it translates well, because we love a good pun here at Hypocritic, and it makes it very accessible, not just from the design of the characters in the world, but even, I've seen some of the very basic text, car is ball, car too many legs, it's very blunt, it's very straightforward, understandable, no matter where you're coming from or what your background is. That accessibility is great, and that translates into the mechanics as well. So can you talk a little bit about the just core mechanics of what the car generally, and how the physical, silly, comedic approach applies to the mechanics as well?
Yeah. So we've gone this time with a very straightforward control scheme. You basically, in your left hand, you have the steering wheel that goes left and right, and in your right hand, you have one button. And that one button does something new more or less every time. And we use exactly that for setting up the jokes, right? So when a level starts, you light the fuse on the cannon, your car shoots out of the cannon, and as soon as you press that button, we want you to giggle. So we want you to see the intro words, and we want you to be surprised at what is this car going to do now. And I like to think that works because of that simple control scheme, that people know, okay, I pressed the button, now comes the joke. So that kind of informs, but also limits, of course, what we can do. But so far we're finding that limiting ourselves to that steering and something that happens when you press the button is the best way to get a clean joke across.
And it certainly does work in motion. And now, a lot of experience going into this, third game in the sort of, let's say, the What the series, right? So a lot of experience with this sort of genre and take on mechanics and presentation. How has the process of developing What the Car differed, if at all, from the previous two games? And what lessons did you maybe take away from them while you were building this one?
So we want to have this approach that we do want to make games that people keep playing. So it's not just, I played What the Car, but I am playing What the Car. And for this one, we decided to include a level editor, the level creator, where you can, people can make their own levels and share them with their friends. So you basically have endless content of other people's levels to play. And in that, we of course need to build in the comedy as well. We're like, okay, how do we make a level editor fit our What the universe? So instead of it being a level editor where you just put down a tree where you want it, or you put down a rock or a booster or whatever we want it, you control the different little cars that then can, drop down a little thing here, a little thing there. Or if you want to make terrain, you have this car that extends its legs very far and, shoots out the terrain there and that kind of stuff. So you are still playing while you're making a level.
And gives so many possibilities for creativity and
Exactly.
ongoing engagement, which is exactly what you were saying was the goal. So that's great. Previously available on Apple Arcade, before now the upcoming release on additional platforms. Again, not unfamiliar territory for this series. Can you talk a little bit about the rationale and the process behind bringing it to Apple Arcade first, then the other platforms, and how the experience of launching it there is informing, again, if at all, the release on now other hardware?
Yeah, I mean, basically, Apple Arcade is a really nice place to be, right? It's we have a relatively good idea of the target audience. Almost every American family has an iPad that they play on, and Apple Arcade features, I think it's 200 or 300 games that you then get through that subscription. So we're already, we can wiggle our way into that good target audience and we use that to calibrate the humor. And then, of course, since that's a subscription service, we've been putting out, so after kind of launching the main game last year, we are then dropping about every third week, we're dropping little free updates with new themes. So we have, ice theme or pinball theme or that kind of stuff that we then drop as we go. And there we then test what is it then people want there, like which themes are hitting the audience the right way.
That's great. And now that ongoing sort of development, adding features, adding new mechanics and things to do, a lot of games do that, but maybe players don't necessarily have the best idea of what it takes behind the scenes to not just launch a game, but then support it for weeks, months, years after it originally comes out. So can you talk a little bit about the support process behind maintaining games once they're launched on a platform and adding additional content to keep players engaged?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the way we do it is we like to view it as we want to grow both the content, so we want there to be more stuff to play, and we also want to grow the kind of base features of the game. So we work on both simultaneously. We have a really strong team working on putting in extra features to make the game just feel better, and that's the stuff that players might not notice right away, but the little things that just makes everything run smoother, adding more settings, more accessibility stuff, that kind of stuff. That's one track of development. And then we have a really lovely content team who come up with all these crazy ideas for, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we did something with cows in space? And then we do that. We crank some of that out.
That sounds like a fun job, just throwing out insane ideas and then
it's the best job in the world.
and then they make it real. That is fantastic. One more question then, I think, before we get into releasing things. Bringing games like this to trade shows like PAX or Gamescom or others has to be incredibly rewarding in terms of just watching players' faces light up and having fun, putting the smiles and laughs on people's faces and watching that in real time. What has the reaction been specifically at PAX West to What the Car, and what are you seeing kind of in players' reactions as they discover it?
Oh, I mean, what's so lovely about being here at West is all the families. And really when we have, my favorite thing is when we have a kid playing and a parent standing behind, and I see them laugh both at the same things but also at different things. We have here in the demo Carrie Poppins, so Mary Poppins thing with an umbrella. And, the kids don't necessarily get it, but then maybe dad will get it. And then for the next one, we have a Baby Shark level. And then maybe dad won't get it, but the kid will get it. And really seeing the faces light up, sometimes at the same time, sometimes, one and then the other. The best thing, really, that seeing kids play especially, but also seeing adults laugh then behind the kids, seeing that we hit all those ages. It's why we make this stuff. And
it really proves out the Apple Arcade presence as well, right? Where you're targeting those families, you're targeting players of all ages, which is really where that platform in particular excels. So it makes a lot of sense. And it's great to get those reactions in real time. It has to be. Then for players who are interested, again, already available on Apple Arcade, but it's releasing on additional platforms, where and when?
We're releasing on Steam on September 9th. It's going to be so great. We're really excited to get it out there.
And as you come up on the end of the road on another game launching, is it just as exciting, as fun, as nerve-wracking to finally get it out in front of
Of course
more
it is.
players?
It's really great. I mean, and we're really looking forward to seeing what the PC gaming crowd will do with this, especially also with the level editor and sharing levels between them, and the speedrunners and the Twitch streamers and all that. That's going to be super good.
Endless possibilities, so it's all up to you. Get cranking. Aranza, thank you so much for the time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Keep it tuned here for more from PAX West all weekend long.